everyone. I'm the Philosopher's Poet, and my guest with me today is Bhavin. Bhavin is a life coach. He speaks on philosophy, he speaks on business development and growth, and he speaks on the law of attraction. But I think I'm doing a disservice speaking about him. I'll let Bhavin speak for himself.
Well, first of all, thank you for the warm welcome and the intro as well. I'm excited for this awesome interview, setting the intention out there on purpose, a positive intention just to create some synergy in this podcast for the benefit of the viewers. Let's put them first as well. So gratitude to everyone watching. Let's have an absolute blast. I'm welcome to any question, within the subjects of my choice. Some of them you mentioned as well. So, yeah, glad to be here.
Okay. Let's start with sort of the background of how you got to where you did, like how you found or rediscovered your purpose or rediscovered yourself.
So, great question. In very short summary, it would be a path, if I do it from this side over here, it was something sparked my interest into personal development. And it's interesting that a small guide that's only 73 pages from what I remember, I can't remember the author, it was a book on Bruce Lee written by someone else, giving a short but quite a very interesting summary of his life. But of all the things that he did, like, being tenacious, motivated, dedicated, etc., right? There's one little gem in there that sparked my interest into personal development. And that is a big piece into me becoming a coach. That was his philosophy of all types of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. All types of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge, Bruce Lee. My interpretation, and generally the general interpretation of that, is the more we learn, the more we learn about ourselves. Because we start to determine what we like and what we dislike, which guides us towards, our truths, who we really are. When we really start to resonate with the things that are really a part of, supposed to be a part of us. But knowledge is the impetus for that whole journey. Of us being guiding towards our own truths. But in very short summary, that philosophy helped. Then as I got more into personal development, there were some obstacles along the way, a lot of resistance from people. There was, you can call it, let's say, let's just call it resistance. I then went into a depression, which is an amazing obstacle. Depression is an amazing obstacle to have, because if you have if there is some little hidden switch to switch back on, to then turn back into a commando, or some type of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. Because when we are depressed, generally most people are down and out. But if that last minute switch is still there, if you switch it on. So I had I switched that on and had some hunger to make some changes. So I made a little. So I tried to transition out of it. Then another amazing obstacle. So I had a long-term illness, which was a fantastic journey. There's so many positives from it. It was a very, very inspiring journey. Loads of strange symptoms. It was linked, I was officially diagnosed technically as it being linked to the depression. And then with all these symptoms, it led me to more personal development. Because there were periods where I was at home. So then I listened to CD programs. So all that knowledge is now rolling around in my head. And then inevitably, if we fast forward now, as I went out, as I got better during the illness, years down the line, as I took action and literally went outside more, and going to more workshops, meetup.com, Eventbrite, we met through one of them, innit?
Through the social event at it was the BNA, wasn't it?
Victoria Albert.
I remember it because when I approached you, you had this real interest in ancient samurai culture,
Yeah.
because you were telling me about it, because we were right next to the sort of the gallery there.
Yeah.
That was quite interesting.
Definitely.
And somehow the conversation moved from samurai culture to, let's say, the 7 principles or Hermetic principles. I think you delved in on that. Yeah, it's just a completely random, but not random conversation, as all things are in life, you know. Things that seemingly seem disconnected become connected because that's what was meant to happen, I guess, or we had the option to make that happen. So that was quite fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt I remember a great chat, like because you shared some of your philosophies as well.
Yeah.
And then you told me about your podcast thing. And then obviously I saw the page as well. It was super interesting.
Yeah.
And then I saw the poetry as well, which was like super icing on the cakes.
Yeah.
Cakes with an S.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then back to your answer, just to kind of with what you were saying, how I got into it. So with all that knowledge kind of rolling around in my head of accumulating it during my long-term illness, which has some complicated symptoms, one of them was that I wasn't reading, writing and looking at screens. It's nothing to do with dyslexia or something. It was just basically I had severe headaches from all 3. Okay. So no reading, no writing and no screens for 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were some periods where I couldn't speak, which is another amazing obstacle, because it gave me headaches. It wouldn't be for the whole day, it would just be in periods. Yeah. Luckily that didn't last long. However, because of that symptom, I'd be at home more. Okay. So this is an amazing obstacle, because I was not reading, writing and looking at screens, so no TV and movies and stuff, I would put on audiobooks. Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Anthony Robbins, long list of all these people. That changed my entire life, because now I was at home with more time to accumulate knowledge. The type of knowledge that's totally priceless, like way more than our, what we're learning in school and college and stuff like that. Yeah. So that journey, all that knowledge, as I got better and as I started to recover, when I started sharing knowledge, people said to me, "You're a great teacher." Okay. I then hired coaches myself. It got me thinking about coaching. Yeah. And then to answer your question, things came my way that guided me to become a coach. Okay. So it was having an interest sparked, long-term illness, amazing obstacles, getting a lot of knowledge, being told that people like me sharing knowledge, and then things coming my way. And then I'm glad I did. Coaching is just super rewarding. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So those are some of the pieces. There's a few other things that kind of guide us towards the path that we.
I feel like everyone I meet, including yourself, is always about this, because you mentioned depression, others I've spoken to, some sort of addiction. There's an incredible triumph, an incredible struggle, and something that takes you back to like square one before you can sort of re-emerge again as sort of the new you, or the real you, or something that's closer to you. And that was interesting, because you had so much time, you were listening to these audiobooks. It got me thinking about, you must have had a lot of time to yourself to think on yourself as well, confronted with you as well as these audiobooks, and all you could do really is confront you, whatever it was that you needed to, which must have been quite interesting, quite intimate, but also quite scary. I don't know, you can delve down the rabbit hole as comfortable as you want to here, but it was an amazing. See, what's interesting is not many people knew. Some did, just only a few people. Well, a few is a word, but let's just say some people knew. Yeah. I hid it from a lot of people, just because sometimes when we tell too many people about our issues, the energy in our direction and to those subjects, that you're adding negative energy towards it. But if we reciprocate it, imagine everyone puts positive energy towards you and your projects, or goals, or tasks, or ambitions, whatever the things are that you're working on or gonna work on. It creates synergy. There's something called constructive interference in the context of the laws of the universe. We have all these different laws.
branching down, there's something called constructive interference. That's where it's more than one person creating together.
Yeah.
It actually becomes more powerful. It's synergy. It's not, it's 2 + 2 equals way more.
Yeah.
And it's called constructive interference.
Yeah.
So we want to create this positive, constructive interference with the right people. So I kind of kept the long-term illness away from others. There were other obstacles as well. So the journey's been fascinating and quite incredible. The illness was one. There was other things. You mentioned addiction as well.
Yeah.
So I had a funny, interesting, and an amazing addiction to weed.
Okay.
That was a very long time.
Okay.
I mean, the stories I could share are funny as well, because I was so addicted I would smoke anywhere.
Okay.
I mean, I'm talking about just going to a park,
Yeah.
an alleyway at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And doing, and just finding random people. Recovering from that was amazing, because that led to more clarity. And then, and then, so there were plenty of, so all these obstacles, they're all, incredible lessons and blessings. We've heard this before. What I want viewers to understand is always refer to an obstacle as an amazing one.
Yeah.
Especially when you share it. Start the sentence by saying the obstacle or the trauma I had, it was an amazing one. There's so many amazing lessons from it.
Yeah.
It was interesting, it was useful, amazing teachers appeared. And now that I look back, the energy towards it is all positive.
I mean, that's almost like showing gratitude to the experience, even if whether it was a person or yourself or something you were self-medicating on. The gratitude's there because, as you said earlier, you alluded to this earlier, that sometimes you find out who you are by understanding who you aren't.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I'm someone who occasionally dabbles in marijuana.
Yeah.
I've always been I would say an occasional smoker. I think that I'm not. For first off, I'll share that I've had addiction in the past, but my addiction in the past when I was very, very young was porn. And I've overcome it. It's been a long, long time since I've dabbled in that. But I am, at the same time, not someone who advocates, that it's a force of evil. I think the driving force behind it is negative, but I think we shouldn't take away from the fact that we should perform an exorcism on sexuality. I just think it's been twisted. So I advocate that people understand why they do something rather than the fact that they do it themselves. Because even when we do seemingly good things or noble things as human beings, sometimes we don't understand we're doing them for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the why is fundamental.
Yeah.
Yes. We were talking earlier about when I asked you your why for doing podcasts as part of your bigger picture, with podcasts being the bigger jigsaw piece of following your passion. Yeah, and you talked about being a catalyst towards people discovering their truths with an S.
Yeah.
Yeah, their truths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can just say their truth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter whether it's a plural or not. That's just to keep it simple. You are a catalyst. You said for being, for being a catalyst towards their truth, so that you just let them be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as maybe I'm a lamp to someone's feet. I'm using a very old Bible analogy. A lamp to someone's feet. There, even though I'm not religious, but it's wisdoms can be found anywhere.
Absolutely.
But then at the same time, if I'm a lamp to someone's feet, other people are lamps to mine. I love the idea that as human beings, we can be both the teacher and the student simultaneously. It keeps us humble in the sense of just when we think we know everything, then we realise we know nothing.
Yes.
But it also makes us appreciate the idea of compassion and the opportunity to help someone learn something about themselves through a shared experience.
Yes. Yeah, we should always go in with the mind of still wanting to learn. I'm twice the teacher than I am I am twice the learner than I am
Yeah.
the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I really appreciated from our discussion before we started recording was we were talking about this book by this Christian author and talking about a lot of the wisdom in it.
Yeah.
But you were able to say, these things are great, these are the gems, like the things that have helped me. But then you're able to say, but simultaneously, I don't necessarily agree with this, and I'm not a Christian, so I'm not going to agree with the person saying that the truth's only in Christ or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that, because one of the most difficult things today is for people to not be so black and white in thinking, to pick up something, any book, text, or hear a message and espouse the sort of wisdom in it, and remove the things that don't help them become more loving or more compassionate. So that's a rare thing, because people are often polarized in their views. They like to throw out everything, the baby with the bathwater. It's like saying, if I believe in a particular spiritual religious persuasion and you say, have you looked into this? If it's not of my persuasion, it's like me saying, oh, then it can't be the truth, or it can't be as good as what I've picked up. You see what I mean? So I think that's an extremely valuable lesson. And I would rephrase it as, we don't access books to gain wisdom, we access them to rediscover wisdom we already had.
Yeah.
Because we're all divine portals to that wisdom. We all have access to it, but it's been interpreted with different cultures in different ways.
It's a very interesting philosophy to put forth. Well, to share even. I like the way you put that as well. I think if more people can incorporate that, it will encourage more learning as well. Yeah, and like you said, be a portal as well. Interesting.
Just because a couple of weeks ago, as I was saying, I was going through your Instagram account and I came across something on the law of addition. And even though I've looked at Hermeticism, maybe it's coached in a different phrase, but it was unfamiliar to me, so I was just curious to hear more about it.
So with the law of addition, I've been reading a book by John C. Maxwell.
Okay.
He's a leadership authority.
Okay.
One of the best there is. So he doesn't actually teach the laws of the universe explicitly. He teaches what he has labelled as the laws of leadership. Yeah. But when you look at some of the laws, there is a big overlap between the laws of the universe with his laws of leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. Before I just share anything on the law of addition, that book, it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of the Universe.
Okay.
The 24 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. It's a 10 out of 10 book.
Okay.
And that chapter, rather than me sharing too much on the law of addition, I'd recommend getting a copy of that book, as in not just for yourself, if it resonates.
I would certainly look into it. Yeah,
I'd recommend it because it works, a lot of the teachings work well when you're working with teams or with people as well. In very short summary, the law of addition, it's addition. It becomes almost, when working in teams, you're adding so much more synergy when all of you are in complete alignment in terms of values. Yeah. And it's just a powerful. Most departments and companies, they just need the right number of leaders, right, who really understand what their values are. And once each person has a matching set of values, what is created from that is so much more than just having more managers or the wrong managers who have the wrong values. It's not just addition, it's additional synergy. Yeah, in very short summary. Yeah.
Wow. So it's almost like kind of, if you have the right values, the right people on the right wavelength in any setup or situation, it's not like it's like a multiplier effect, but it's more like going from 7 to 49 to the cube of 7. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like to the power, if you know what I mean. So it's not like saying if you've got one person, then you've got 3 people, it's 3 times. It's almost like 3 times 3 times 3 kind
Yes.
of thing. It's like a, yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And when you have teams where people are not, they do not have the same values, but if we just put values aside, let's just put beliefs for now.
Yeah.
Because people have loads of different beliefs.
Yeah.
If you've got too many people in a group, the things that the universe is sending in small pieces for the group to take action upon, so it could be more visitors, more recognition, that's just 2 things. You can add on another 1,000. Some of those things will be trapped in, you can call it escrow, or a holding place. Or if the escalator is scrolling down, some of the things that were going to come through the escalator, they won't come. They'll just be like on pause. Just imagine like in space, stuck in a gravitational field, and they're just stuck, right? But when some of the people who do not have those strong, empowering beliefs, they've got too many limiting beliefs, if those people leave, the escalator will come on properly, and some of those things that were trapped will now come. Yeah. So in any team, and to have it additional synergy based, you have to have this people who have the similar empowering beliefs. Yeah, empowering beliefs is fundamental.
Yeah. Is that something you've adopted with your coaching?
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if coaching doesn't work if we work with someone who doesn't believe in the coaching. I mean, it's up to the coach to empower them and both stay on track, so you're both looking ahead and you just see success.
Yeah.
But during the consultation, if it's clear that the person might not consistently build empowering beliefs, they're better off getting services from someone who can help them in an area to work on beliefs first, or it could be more of a therapy case. Yeah, because there's different cases out there. Yeah, some people are just completely ready for change, and not everyone is. Maybe that person might need something called CBT or some other areas which won't benefit a life coach. Yeah, life coaches generally don't work with therapy cases. Yeah,
how come?
So life coaching, it has a different school of thought. It's partnership based, not I am as an analogy, not I am the kickboxing coach. So you know how like your kickboxing coach, he is the mentor. He's not a life coach. He's a boxing coach. But the word coach, if we just delete that for a moment and call him a boxing mentor, the reason why he's a mentor is because he's teaching you his methods. And he's also giving you a lot of advice and guidance, and giving you prescriptive tips, guidance, and paths based on his experiences. Life coaching is little to no advice based. It's more of a partnership, whereas in the kickboxing mentoring analogy, he's above you.
I
see. As an analogy, you're looking up to him because he's got more experience than you. In this one, they're not. One is not higher than the other, they're equal. It's just that the life coach might be more advanced, but that doesn't enter the equation. It's the both are a partnership where the coach doesn't tell them what to do, he asks them questions. There's a big difference. So imagine your boxing coach didn't teach you any technique. He just asks you questions like, what sort of punch would you like to develop? What sort of kicks would work in this situation? When is a time when you could use your elbows? Now, these are questions that would get you to answer your own questions. So that's more of a partnership because he's asking you a question and then you're coming out with the answers. Now, I'm not advocating that in a kickboxing environment because obviously a boxing mentor should never incorporate life coaching methodologies too much, only some, not too much in the beginning, because if they let you come up with your own answers, you could obviously get hurt in a sparring or if you're going to go professional. So boxing mentoring I'm just calling it boxing mentoring for now, has its place, and it's very effective, and it works.
Yeah.
Because you're also protecting that person based on his past experiences.
Of course.
But sometimes a boxing mentor can put his mentoring on pause and not stop giving you advice. Then he can enter life coaching territory where advice is stopped, and he'll just ask you coaching questions to provoke your thinking so that you can start to come up with new solutions based on things you've already experienced. Because now he will have confidence that you've already got the basics covered.
Yeah.
So now he can start saying things like, at which specific angle could you improve it now?
Yeah.
Rather than him always telling you.
So it's sort of like someone helping you get to your own answers or your own understanding, your own truth. So it's sort of like the next level almost, I would say, above that. It's less pragmatic, because obviously boxing is, or any martial arts, more practical, but you're talking about your purpose, your ideology, or going beyond ideology, your you, I am,
yes,
kind of.
But it's applicable in any subject. Life coaching, it can still be applied in boxing, or it could be applied for maybe for a relationship. Like there are life coaches out there that focus on marriage relationships and coach them. But not a marriage counsellor. Because marriage counselling is listening, predominantly listening based. It's so counselling, therapies, and all these other schools. Actual life coaching is very different. I only shared one or two differences. There's quite a few others as well. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Like how it works.
I mean, you said CBT was an interesting one to draw out, because I think I wrote a blog a while ago about the idea of being body, mind and soul. And I think coming out of some analogies in this sort of blog I was writing, it was the idea of alchemy. And so you only reach the deepest levels of turning lead into gold if you go to the soul or the spirit, that bit of ourselves that's the most undefinable but the most knowledgeable in terms of intuition. And I was likening something like CBT almost to like the mind, because it deals with, and you can again correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is it's more to do with responses to behaviors, like it's partly brain training from what I understand. So the reason I likened it to the mind is because we're in a society where I think a lot of us think we are our mind, and my opinion or my belief is, and that might change one day, is that we're not our mind. The mind is a tool we use rather than being us. So it's training our mind or training ourselves to respond in specific ways, but it's not necessarily getting to the heart of it. It's a very useful tool, but I would see almost like getting to your own conclusions as having to speak with oneself.
Yes. That's a fascinating way to put it. Imagine when we are speaking to ourselves, it's what it's done, not so much, it could be what we channel it in a way. So we, like you mentioned the word portal, so just imagine a stream of light like coming from above, and it's tapping into this part here. Then your talk to yourself can be consistently positive, because it's not coming from the mind so much anymore. It's coming from your mind after, but it's coming from the all-encompassing mind first. Okay. In a way. And then that has the power to shift your mind. The all mind shifting your mind. Through this portal.
I love how you called it the all mind. I know in several schools of thought, going way back, there's the idea of the all mind or the divine mind, and then you have the mind that we talk about. I think in some traditions they call it the Kam Manas, the human mind. I don't know if you've heard of the 7 bodies. It's basically a mix-up of sort of different Eastern and Western traditions. Then you had like these movements in the early 20th century, like Theosophy and they define it as 7 bodies. So the first 4 primarily deal with the flesh, and then the mind and personalities, ego, and then you have the 3 above, like almost like a triangle, like the divine mind, the Buddhi mind, and then you've got the will, and then you have like what some people would call the soul. I'm just really like taking the shortcut of this in terms of the descriptions. I think that idea has been going around for a long time, and it keeps coming back into society in the same way that when people used to talk about alchemy and elements, when fire, air, water, they're either talking about personalities or talking about different energies or aspects or bodies. It's really interesting because you use that phrase, and I just thought the all mind. Yeah, it's.
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah.
So I'll look at it under theosophy.
Yeah.
But you said that it was in other schools of thought or period. Like you said, 20th century. So it's probably, maybe it will be in New Age.
Yes, it's
definitely in New Age. Even though it's a bit, because New Age is up to about 9. You still have New Age in the 20th century as well, but it's obviously started before.
Yeah.
So maybe 18th and 19th and 20th century, maybe.
Yeah.
The 7 bodies.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So I'll look it up. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, the all mind, when it's not when it's unfiltered, you know. I mean, I think human beings have a need for filters and masks. It's just that we've now get to the point where we identify with the mask rather than the person who puts on the mask.
Yes.
So, you know, like work, social life, even relationships, we sometimes can be different people. I think it unconsciously even, yeah. And I think that how do you help people to understand who they are and what are the masks they wear through?
Great question. So first of all, and foremost, first we should ask ourselves a question: how ready are they for change?
Yes.
Scale of 0 to 10. You know, you said the all mind.
Yeah.
Right. So if we just call that the law of divine oneness, one of the laws of the universe,
Yeah.
we won't define it for a moment. I'm just going to mention it.
Yeah.
Then there is something called the law of harmony. Think of a pond. You throw a stone. It kind of upsets the balance. It creates a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you keep throwing too many stones, you want to keep a balance in the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this original question of determining whether they're ready for change, what you don't want to do is create resistance with people, because sometimes when people are not ready for change and you offer something by way of a question, like a coaching question, or the boxing mentor giving some amazing new technique or a method as an analogy, if they're not ready for change, some negative energy can be felt from them because they're going to enter a state where they're not ready for change.
Yeah.
So these energy vibrations won't match yours, and there'll be a bit of a friction, and it can be physically felt.
Yeah.
So the first question to ask ourselves is, how ready are they for change in our own mind? 10, like, oh my God, they're just like, it's Rocky from, you know, climbing up the stairs.
Yeah.
With that music at the end, and like, yeah, I'm ready, 100%.
I never actually got down to the one-handed push-up. I used to be able to do it, but now, because I remember watching it. Yeah, he does it, and then he picks up like a barbell.
This is after when he gets to the top of the staircase.
This is part of the training montage. So during that montage, he runs to the top of the staircase. There's one bit where he's doing one-handed push-ups.
And it's actually him doing it.
Yeah.
Must be him.
Yeah.
So, if it's him as 10, like you're saying, even with a one-hand push-up. Yeah. And, you know, 0 is like, you know, this is zombie, just complete zombie territory because it's not going to change. And wherever it is in between. Now, gauge it. So that's number 1. Number 2, questions are powerful. Words are powerful. There's infinite ways, permutations and combinations of asking people very, very different questions. So sometimes questions are more powerful than mentoring and telling them, like a boxing coach would. Your kickboxing coach will tell you, don't punch at this angle. You know, when you first start in the club, they will say to you, don't punch like this. Coming, like, don't punch like this, and don't punch with your left leg too forward, and then like this. Because most boxing coaches will tell you straight away that to get more power, your right leg has to your right arm should follow with your right leg,
Mm.
because obviously that's where you get more momentum.
Yeah, we get most of our power from is here
The hips.
and hit rather than just up.
Yeah, because you lose power if your right leg is if your left leg is way too forward, and then you punch. I can even feel it right now. It's like I'm trapped. Yeah. So you're not going to get as much power, obviously. So he's going to give you mentoring.
Yeah.
Right. So he's going to mentor you on punching and all this stuff, right? But with coaching, if you can ask a question, it could be anything. It could be along the lines of, so if someone is displaying a weakness, like you're saying, and how can we help people to uncover the mask, but they're not aware of it, because you're hinting on self-awareness. So this is in an instance where people lack self-awareness, they're not aware of themselves, and we want to help them be aware of their mask and all the things that are attached to it and the root causes. Right. So what we can do is ask some questions to begin with. So there's infinite ways of doing it. So if we make up a case, let's make up a funny case of, let's say there's a girl at work. Right, and she fancies someone at work.
Hopefully me.
But let's say there's a girl called Sally, and she fancies you. Right? For whatever reason, she is bizarrely worried about what staff would think. Let's just say, whatever the reason is. Or she just started dating someone, but it's only been 3 weeks. Right, he ain't serious. She's only just met him, and she doesn't even know much about him. Right. So there's still a window for yourself. Both of you are getting along. But there's too many people in the office that know about the other guy. I'm just making up a random case, So the mask is, when you're chatting her up, she's just pretending. She's saying that, oh no, but I'm already with Harry. Like you're asking her out, but you know she wants it. She keeps coming to you for excuses, like, oh, can you help me with a printer and all this. These are all the action excuses based on the mask of her being perceived in this instance as a slut. That's the mask. Right? So the question her friends could ask her is, I'm just going to make up random questions, is what would be the benefits? So her girly friends in the office, they could ask, the good ones, they could ask her questions like, what would be the benefits of dating Nathan?
I mean, first off, let's just say that neither of us believe that would be the case if a woman in that situation is equally of a guy. So, we obviously clearly we're having this conversation, so we think it's just a matter of choice. We're in a non-judgmental way.
Of course, definitely. I mean, this is in a hypothetical situation. I'm not even saying whether. I'm not condoning this act. We're taking a perspective of a non-judgmental approach at the moment. Or we could spin it in another way by saying that, let's just say all of you find out that this Harry guy is actually some sort of psychopath woman beater. Right, he's a complete nutcase. He's unstable. But she still doesn't want to bizarrely be perceived as someone that's a slut.
Of course.
Let's just say that. Right, and you're like the saviour. In a way, right?
God, I don't want to be the saviour. That's too much pressure.
But in this case, she could be asked questions by her friends. Or another example is, let's put that case. Let's think of another example at work. Someone wants to go for promotion. Sally wants to go for promotion, but there's feelings of unworthiness. Right, and the mask is an excuse. Like, I'm happy in my position. Like you have in many big supermarket companies. Like Tesco's and Sainsbury's. Because those are staff that are now in their 50s, who started there in their 20s, but they're still on the tills. There was no progression into manager and whatever.
Of course.
So the mask is, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm happy. Some are, but there are some that definitely are not. Because I've worked in partnership with department stores and stuff, and I can tell when people are not fulfilled in their role. So if they're ready for change and something happens to them and you notice it and they reach that 8, 9, 10 out of level, like the Rocky level, like they're super ready for change, that's when you can ask them coaching questions such as, what could you do progressively in smaller action steps to move towards promotion or find another company where there is avenue? What would be the benefits of you progressing your career? What would happen in 2 years from now if you really did achieve this?
Yeah.
What do you see in 5 years from now, right? If when all of this works out and you've achieved all of this,
Yeah.
what skills could you develop by progressing? What can you compare the two parallels of you staying in this supermarket in your till position with another parallel universe of you progressing, let's say even gradually?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me 10 things, the 10 benefits of that? 10 benefits. Now what you've done is you've confined them in a positive way to give you 10. That's quite a lot.
That is quite a lot.
It's going to stretch them.
Yeah.
Now, but what that's going to do is it's going to make them realise there's a lot of benefits of doing it. If they're at that 10 level, rocky level, like hungry, if they're at that 8, it could still work.
Yeah.
Just don't ask them too many questions if they're clearly showing resistance.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's one way of doing it. Yeah. Then other ways, because your original question was how can we get them to unravel, like the masks, storytelling, recommending books. This would be mentoring now. Yeah, this is not coaching. Storytelling, recommending books, letting them know that there's all these workshops out there, Eventbrite, Meetup.com, all these other workshops. They're going to meet more people then. You can create a group or recommend them to a group.
Yeah.
Like for them to create their own mastermind group, WhatsApp group, Saturday morning brunch group. If it's a lady, it could be just a ladies group. Yeah. Whatever it is, ladies entrepreneur group or whatever,
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I get that. That makes sense. I like the way you broke that down in terms of what people say but what they really think can be two different things. And the protection that provides to us. But sometimes the protection is unnecessary. Because that's it. It's like the ego is there to protect us, but then it can become us. So it's not a necessarily bad thing in this current society we live in. It's just that we identify with it and we use it to mask our true self. So this idea of, like you said, I'm happy where I am even though I'm not, that's us protecting ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
It's the carnal mind.
Yeah.
The carnal self. The carnal.
That word.
It doesn't even sound good, does it? The carnal.
I think partly it doesn't sound good, but I'm starting to think maybe it's because it's a very often touted religious word, and so people have a negative connotation with the word carnal. Because they used to mention it all the time in church, so it'd be like carnal, and it's always negative because it's to do with the flesh. So you mentioned, speaking of, because you mentioned words, you were talking about words and the power of words, and that was perfect for me to springboard to the next point. You're a poet, or you like to write, and obviously I guess everyone knows that I'm a poet as well. And I'm really interested. Well, thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff, that clip that you did on the bus, that was excellent. Yeah. Because it was improvised. Well, you prepared it and then you did it.
Sometimes it's just improv, but a lot of the time I just start writing on the bus and then I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this. But
it was brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm really, because you said you've right, and you've got a couple of things you want to share, and I'm really interested to hear them. I imagine them to be introspective, but I could be surprised. But I think whatever I'm going to hear the conviction and feeling in them. That's what I look forward to. So,
most of them are personal development, kind of spiritual based as well.
Yeah.
So, more than happy to share. The first one is about my business or company.
Okay.
So this one is called The Law of Attraction and Confidence.
Okay.
Because my company is called Attract Super Confidence.
Okay.
Tomorrow you wake up with a mind transformed into the mental faculties of every single superhero. Combine that with every philosopher, including an angelic version of Nero. Synthesize with the belief systems of Superman. Spit daily affirmations such as yes I can. contributing to the invisible plane of pure potentiality, the all-encompassing energy field being healed to a godlike mentality. Practice visualization, yet one incremental piece at a time. Allow the universe to guide you to your absolute, immeasurable prime. Your heart center opens up to more than a few. Telekinetic energy magnetizes fellow superheroes too. With rich co-creation, the confidence of others will shift to unprecedented levels of consciousness, because your empowering vision of them adds to their concreteness. Imagine societies where confident leaders are of truthful eminence. Welcome to my Arcadian world of attract super confidence. You like that, right?
I like that, yeah. Punchy, yeah.
Thank you.
I like that.
Then I have this is a short one. This one is called The Law of Attraction and Health.
Okay.
Which should we value more? The spiritual, the mental, or the physical? Start with the mind to incrementally step up the metaphysical. This lyrical philosophy be empirical. Imagine every cell in you engulfed with white coruscating light. Simultaneously, the physical be reflecting the self-esteem of an immortal knight, creating a super positive momentum of better feeling thoughts. Eventually, your superpower will bless all to have inner thoughts. This could mean serene spirituality, solid mental strength, and 10x physical prowess. Each being will evolve, stick with it through light-heartedness, acting as if you are that multifaceted superhero with perfect health, that consistently manifests more of what is wanted to have unlimited inner wealth.
Fantastic. I love that how you weaved in almost like a steps of progression. And in fact, you start with the body, mind, and the spirit or the soul. It's really very prevalent in the conversation. So I really appreciate you sharing those.
Thank you.
We're almost at the end of the podcast, but before we end it, I just again want to thank you for coming on board today and having this chat with me and chopping it up. And thank you for your contribution, what you've given to everyone who has the pleasure of watching this. And I would like you to share your social media and your company page as well with everyone.
First of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Awesome podcast.
Thank you.
Just awesome podcasting in general.
Okay.
You asked brilliant questions, and you'll definitely keep it up. So we'll do more as well.
Yeah, certainly.
100%. To share my website. So website is www.attractsuperconfidence.com. attractsuperconfidence.com. The Instagram page is on there as well, like as a link for you to click on. And just to say it separately, it's at Attract Super Confidence Official.
Okay.
That's the Instagram page, yeah. But you can find my LinkedIn link on there as well. Yeah. Then over time I'm going to I'll be adding TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice to have video clips of all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to have that kind of, have it complementary.